As we start today's update, it's impossible to ignore how many Americans feel squeezed from every direction, okay? And that's exactly why this new statement from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessant about Trump's proposed $2,000 stimulus checks is getting so much attention. For months, people have been noticing the same pattern. Groceries cost more. Electricity bills feel heavier. Home ownership looks out of reach. And even families who already bought a home are struggling to keep up with rising property taxes and insurance premiums. Many households are earning the same amount they did a few years ago, yet inflation keeps stretching every dollar thinner. Ground beef, for example, averaged $6.32 in September, up from $5.67 the year before, and some reports even warn it could reach $10 a pound. Secretary Bessant blamed this on a mix of problems carried over from the Biden administration and the spread of a parasite from Mexico, saying prices might not settle until 2027. The administration recently eased some tariffs on beef and tropical fruits to relieve food costs, but the stress many families feel hasn't gone away. Trump officials have also defended claims that Thanksgiving prices dropped by 25%. Though that number came from a smaller Walmart package with fewer items, which has created even more debate. All of this has raised a bigger question. What exactly is happening with the $2,000 checks Trump wants to send out, and how likely is it that Americans will actually receive them? Secretary Bessant explained that Trump wants these payments to help families rebuild their purchasing power, especially as the affordability crisis deepens. But he also made it clear that they cannot send the money without new legislation. That means Congress has to approve it first. Trump cannot sign an order and release the checks on his own. To pass normally in the Senate, the bill would need at least 60 votes, which requires 7 Democrats to join the 53 Republicans currently in the chamber. If that cooperation doesn't happen, Republicans could attempt a reconciliation bill again, similar to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, now known as the Working Families Tax Cut Act, which lets them pass certain financial measures with a simple majority. Bessant added that Trump has already pushed policies centered around working families, like removing taxes on tips, improving overtime rules, and expanding Social Security relief. He also mentioned that many families will see higher refunds in the first quarter because of these changes, which he believes will give people more breathing room, alongside the direct checks. Trump has floated another idea, giving every newborn starting January 1st, 20-20-6, a $1,000 Trump account invested in the stock market for 18 years, meant to become a financial head start once the child reaches adulthood. Another major part of this story is the ongoing Supreme Court case involving Trump's tariff policy. Tariffs have pulled in about $195 billion in the first 3 quarters of the year. And Trump wants to use some of that revenue not only for the checks, but to gradually pay down the $38.12 trillion national debt. However, if the court rules against the policy, the government might have to hand back roughly $200 billion to importers. Bessant strongly argued that the court rarely interferes with a president's signature policy, especially one tied to emergency powers. He pointed out that Trump used tariff threats to secure rare earth supplies from China, negotiate peace agreements, and pressure countries involved in fentanyl production. Bessant warned that refunding tariffs could cause chaos, because importers might receive huge windfalls and exporters who already lowered their prices could end up getting paid twice. While this legal fight continues, political support for the payments is slowly building. Senator Katie Britt said the Senate should seriously consider Trump's $2,000 tariff checks, teasing that Americans deserve more of their own money back. Senator Josh Hawley introduced a smaller plan earlier that would give $600 rebates per adult and per child, meaning a family of 4 would receive $2,400. Under Trump's structure, a family of 4 could receive $8,000, a tease, which is why his plan is getting so much national attention. Income limits are still a major point of discussion, and many expect the guidelines to resemble the pandemic year structure, down to $5,000 for individuals or $150,000 for couples. If Congress moves quickly, tax-related refunds could show up early in the year. Tariff-funded checks depend on both the Supreme Court ruling and whether Congress can reach an agreement. Every side understands how urgently people need relief, especially with many families on the edge of losing their homes or falling behind on essential bills. As the crisis continues, much of the country is watching to see whether lawmakers can agree on a path forward. SPET puts money back into households that are feeling overwhelmed. Trump's team believes these payments could give millions a real chance to catch up. But without congressional approval, the plan remains in limbo. The growing pressure from rising costs, the political momentum behind the proposal, and the massive tariff revenue make this a moment where anything could happen next. As we wait for Congress, the court, and both parties to decide their next steps, many Americans are left wondering whether these checks will become real financial relief or just another political debate. Either way, this update makes one thing clear: the stakes are getting higher. The timeline is tightening, and every decision from this point forward will shape how soon families might finally see help.